Okay. All right, and we are live.
Yay!
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Happy Thursday. I was like, what day is it today? But yeah, it's Thursday. Um, Kindle and I are coming to you from Zoom. I'm working at home today, so I'm in my apartment. Kindle, where are you at? Your apartment?
I'm at my day job in an office with some
Yeah.
paintings.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Let us know if you're able to catch this live. This is kind of impromptu. We didn't let you know too far in advance that we were hosting this because things have been super crazy, both for me and for Kindle. But we wanted to, just jump on here, talk to you for a few minutes about, first we want Kindle to share her story. She has some exciting stuff coming up. And then we want to talk about what it means to follow your mission. Kindle and I'm trying to remember when we met. It was at one of the Work Bigger events that we had at Hired several months ago now. And I remember we were opening enrollment for the Work Bigger program, and I reached out to you and just asked you, where you were at, and you decided to join. And since then, it's just been like freaking amazing getting to know you. It's like I've loved just seeing your growth and your transformation, and I've learned so much about who you are as a person. So I'm just so excited for you to share your story with our community. We have so many amazing women in the Work Bigger community. I know you've connected with a ton of ladies already. So I'm just happy to be here. Welcome.
Hey, thank you. Yes, thank you so much. This is great and super exciting. I've never done a live Facebook before, so here we are.
They're really fun. We're gonna have a good time.
Yay!
So if you're watching live, and I'm gonna refresh the Facebook screen to make sure we're seeing, let us know if you're watching live. Give us a like or a heart or share a comment. Let us know where you're watching from. We want to interact with you guys as much as possible because it makes it more fun. And feel free to share a question. But with that, Kindle, do you want to tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. So I'll jump way back and just say I came from like a pretty creative household growing up. My mom was a teacher and my dad was a musician. So they were kind of like, whatever you want to do, like, let's do it. And I'm kind of from that era of you can be whatever you want to be. And that Sesame Street kind of kind of push. So that was great and a great place to get started and really get into whatever was available. So I spent a lot of childhood playing with different things and creating, and really a lack of judgment there, which I think I kind of lost as I got a little bit older, which I think happens. It's just part of growing up. It's part of school. It's part of what happens to us. So when I graduated high school, I came to New York to study acting, and I have a acting degree from Hofstra, and I loved it. I'm very proud of it, but I don't really act anymore. And after that, I kind of was like lost. Like, what do I do? I kind of jumped into full-time work because of the recession and all that jazz, just needing the stability. And that kind of led me to this real place of, I don't know. I'm lost. I don't know where I belong. I don't know what my passion is. I don't know what my mission is. I don't know where I fit in. And I have all of this creative energy, but I have no outlet, and nothing really felt right. So that actually led me to a lot of discovery, a lot of research, reading. I listened to so many podcasts, and luckily, somehow, I found out about that Work Bigger workshop, and it was so great. And after that, just getting that invite to explore the Work Bigger program was really, it was so important, and it really changed my life. And I know that sounds like drama, but it's so true. I really would not be here at all if it wasn't for the Work Bigger program. So thank you, Belma, for somehow finding me and for guiding me along the way.
Oh my gosh. Well, first I want to say I didn't do anything. You did everything, because I remember the way you showed up in the program and you were so open and ready to do the work. So I really just want to reflect back at you and give you credit, because that transition that you've made, that transformation is, it's because of you. So yeah. I want to go back to that judgment that you talked about. You said when you were growing up, you felt a lack of judgment and you were able to explore a lot and try different things. But then somehow along the way, you lost that. What does that look like? Like, can you talk a little bit more about that judgment that you started feeling as you got older?
Yeah. I think I don't know exactly. I wish I could say like the moment I started to notice it, but I really was doing a lot of things. I played violin. I did theater. I did sports. I did art stuff. And I never really cared so much about what other people thought, or like if my artwork was great. Like I wasn't attempting to be an artist. I just wanted to play around. And I think, as I got older, it became more of like maybe a pressure to sort that out. It's like, okay, so you have all these interests. What are you going to do with them? And I think that's where I kind of pushed myself into theater, because it was like, I loved it, but it made sense of like, well, that's a career I can do. But that judgment, yeah, it just gets kind of worse and worse, I think, as you get older, because we're just looking for someone to say like, you're doing it right. And there is no right. Like the right is whatever is, in you. Like if you want to play around, you can, and it doesn't matter. And there's nobody that can say like, you wasted your time. I think one thing that really stuck with me was in the Work Bigger workshop, I had said something about, I have this urge to paint and I don't want to do it. And you were like, you need to do it. And I did it. And it was like, it's fine. So I think it just stays with you, that judgment of like, whatever we look, maybe it's excuses we want to make because we're afraid. But yeah, it's so hard to shed that and stay focused on yourself.
Yeah. What was it like? So when you painted, right, you were like, I don't want to do it. Can you talk a little bit more about that? What did that open up for you?
It reminded me of my creative potential, because even someone like I said, kind of coming from that background of, I'll use whatever, maybe I knit now, maybe I do this. I was still looking through that lens of like, well, this has to get me somewhere. This has to have a purpose. It can't just be for fun. It can't just be rewarding because I spent time doing it. And it really took some time for me to like just play around and be like, it's okay. I made this. And I can make something again, and it doesn't matter. It's going to be beautiful to me. It doesn't matter to anyone else.
It reminds me of Big Magic. Did you read Elizabeth Gilbert's book, Big Magic? Because that's
Yes.
exactly what she talks about, the importance of like letting ourselves give into that urge that we have to create, whatever that looks like. And I feel like, yeah, we hold ourselves back because we think that it has to have a bigger purpose, but that is the purpose. Like you said it yourself, it reminded me of my creative potential.
Yeah.
What's possible from that place, right? When you tap into that.
Yeah. Well, that's like what I'm exploring now. Now I'm back in that place of exploration being kind of the point. Like, where can we go? I don't know. Let's find out. And I really feel that now. I don't know exactly where my mind shifted. I mean, it was definitely during the program. But I think I just was coming from this place of like, something has to fix this. Something has to fix me and how I feel. And, you know, luckily it was me, it was the work. It was identifying my values. It was identifying my strengths. And, you know, when it came to the mission week, I was like, this is right in front of me. It's so obvious. And I mean, it literally was like, oh my gosh.
I remember that.
Wow. Yeah. So you know, I think for anybody looking for that kind of like, I'm lost and I know I have all these pieces, but I don't know how they fit together. It really helped me put it together. And it really helped me release that stress of, this is the one thing that's going to solve my problems.
Yeah.
You know, it really opened the door to exploration. And I don't know, I'm in love with that now. That just like, what happens next? I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's find out.
Yeah. So let's talk about your mission, because I absolutely love what you're working on now. So can you share that with us? What is your mission?
Yes. My mission is to empower women to find self-growth through creative endeavors and play.
Mm.
And that's just, it's just one of those things, like it clicked. Like I said, you know, when I was a kid, that's what I loved to play. And as an adult, you know, I love working with women. It's important to me. And so I want to really continue to develop that and see how we can grow through creative outlets, and what those are. And it's kind of hard to, I think if I look too big, I'm like, well, what does this look like? And I start to judge, right? Like, where does this go? And I, you know, how do I make money? And how do I make this a business? And it's like, let's just play. Like, that's the whole point. It's play. So I am really looking forward to working with some women and seeing what comes up, and how we can just grow together.
Yeah. What I hear from you now is that you're living in the realm of possibility, right? Which is so exciting. I think it's really hard to get there sometimes, exactly because it's exactly what you said. Like, it's the way our society is structured. Everything has to have a purpose. Is this going to lead somewhere? And that takes us away from the moment, and it takes us away from exploring our creative potential. And then we can't tap into what it is that we are meant to create or what we want to create. So that's what I'm hearing is such a big shift for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about the how, like how you're pursuing your mission now?
Yes. So, again, I am a big flag waver for Work Bigger program. So I'm not going to pretend that I'm not. So, part of the last few phases of the program is really identifying, you know, what path you want to go down. And I really fought that entrepreneurial path because I was like, I don't know. But I knew it was kind of right. So I am hosting a pilot workshop in a couple weeks, to really try out some theories that I have about, you know, awakening some creativity and seeing how that resonates with other women.
Yeah. And we're going to share the link again here. So ladies, I think Kindle, you shared it, right? And it's a free
Yes.
event on March
Yes.
4th.
Yes.
I signed up and I'm definitely going to try to be there. I would love to participate. So if you're around, and where is it exactly? It's
at Reflections Yoga Studio, which is on 24th and like 2nd Avenue.
Yeah. So if you're in New York City, highly recommend you check it out. We'll share the link. One thing I want to switch gears a little bit. So you kind of hit on this already. You said, you know, the entrepreneurial path came up for me and I was like, oh no, I don't really want to pursue this, all of that, right? Which is such a sign that like when you feel that resistance, it means you kind of got to go there. So,
yeah,
which like kind of sucks, but it's also really awesome.
yeah.
When you and we jumped on a call like right around the holidays, and you were working on getting your pilot off the ground. And I was like, Kindle, where is your event? When are you going to post it? I'm waiting for it. And you were like, yeah, so I'm feeling really scared. So totally normal. Can you talk a little bit about that, just what that was like, that resistance that you were feeling? Because I think it's so important to address that. It is really common. And I think if we can share those stories, right, then we're not just talking about like the instant success that people have. We're really identifying those moments of resistance so we can overcome them together. So can you share a little bit more about that?
Yes. So that the resistance was also something I felt during the program, and it's nothing like I'd ever experienced before. And it was kind of hindering, right? You're like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do anything. I just forget it. Never mind. You know?
Bye.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I take it back. And I noticed that happening with the other ladies in our cohort, in different ways, of course. But I think all of us felt that at some point of like, oh no, and it was great to have that sense, because now when it happens, I, just like you're saying, I can identify it. I can say, oh, this is my resistance. So what do I need to do to move through it? Do I need to talk to another person? Do I need to do something physical? How do I, what's the best way for me to let this pass and not take over? Because the thing is, when you are committed to it, to your mission and to what, the project you're working on, it's not going to let you go. Like, the resistance will fade, but the drive is never going to dissolve. So it's really just acknowledging that there's going to be like a roller coaster. You're going to ride that. And there's some days where you just have to say, like, today is not going to happen. Like, I need a nap. I need a break. I can't think about this. And maybe the next day you wake up and you're like, oh, well, that was silly. I'm over it. I think definitely speaking with a coach, speaking with a friend, everybody has those people that will really support you no matter what. And definitely the Work Bigger community is like that. I think anytime anybody shares, we're all like, you got this, you're okay. So even just that sense of a support net to know, like, it's also okay for you to step back. It's also okay for you to rest. So that, I think, just identifying it, and knowing it's not going to just be a one and done. So it's going to come back in different ways. But when it comes back, you're working through something big. You're reaching that edge of your comfort zone, and you're like, oh my gosh,
I have
this
the
is
chills
big.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it comes back. You're totally right. It's not like one and done. I figured out my resistance. I'm past it. No, it's gonna come back.
Yeah.
That's part of the fun,
Yeah.
I think. One thing that you mentioned when we were chatting was, we were talking about that resistance that you were feeling, and I said, what does it feel like when you think about your mission and following that path? And do you remember what you said?
Yeah, I said, it feels light.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is so telling. Can you talk a little bit about that? Just that feeling of lightness?
Yeah, I think the lightness, it, I think the way, I guess it's hard to describe, but the way that feels is that the pressure of the resistance and the pressure of the judgment, the pressure of the self-pressure, it can all be lifted because you're focused. And if you just think about this one thing you're so connected to, everything else, can sort of evaporate away. So really that sense of like, almost like a floaty kind of, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening, and it's so wonderful. It's that kind of light. And it really does make the rest of that burden, it puts it into perspective. It's like, oh, that doesn't matter because I'm just doing this work. I'm so connected to it.
Yeah. I love when you said that, because I remember saying to you, I'm like, well, right there, like that's what you need to listen to. Because to me, that's very telling. It means that what you're pursuing is coming from a much bigger, deeper place, right? It's not about like the perfect, getting your story perfect or the perfect resume or cover letter or the perfect company. No, it's about you and you bringing out your work into this world for the sole reason of doing so, right?
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, I love it. So I asked this question of everyone. We have a lot of women in the group who are in career transition or hoping to make a career transition. They're feeling stuck or frustrated. So what do you say to women who are in that place, whether they're thinking about, whether they're like super new to work bigger and whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But I guess advice from like your learnings this past year, like how would you guide them?
Sure. I think, okay. I think something I'm realizing is that it took me getting really low and feeling really low to know I needed to make a change. So if you're already ready to make a change, that's so big, and like celebrate that win, because it's like you wrote your name on the SAT, like you get 1,000 points, like you're so ready. And then being open to different ideas. It is really scary to go to a networking event, and we all make so many excuses, and we know it's like the thing you need to do, but really just being open to meeting new people and sharing your frustrations, because without the dialogue, like we can't help each other. So it's really sharing with the people around you. I also found that for me, it was a lot of listening, learning, reading, just really thinking about what do I want to do? Where do I want to go? And maybe that is exploring like a workshop or exploring a different networking event. Like if you're like, I don't know, maybe I like tech. Well, join Tech Ladies and find out if you really like tech or not, because they're going to bombard you with information. You might be like, no, never mind. Being open to exploring, I think is really big. And something that was immensely powerful for me was, what are my strengths? What are my values? What are my opportunities? And what do I stand for? What do I care about? And that is, I think the reason it resonated so much to me is it's the basis of, the beginnings of the Work Bigger program. And I noticed dropping right into that, it was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I've ever identified these things. I don't think I've ever thought about, what do I stand for? And that's coming from other places. That's coming from people pleasing and all of that stuff. But now, because I know what I stand for, my choices are clearer. My actions are clearer because I know immediately this isn't about me. This doesn't serve me, and it's not going to work, So I really think looking for your strengths, looking for your values, being open, meeting new folks, and sharing with people will really help you just start to weed through and just take it one day, one step at a time.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It's so,
Sure.
yeah, I mean, you're talking about the foundational stuff that we skip over.
Yeah.
Which is my pet peeve. Like I always talk about, I'm like, great, they taught us all this awesome stuff in school. I got to learn about science and math, all super valuable, but they didn't, teach us to dig deep to understand ourselves so that we can find our way into the right work, right? It's like this key thing that's really, really missing. And it drives me nuts because I don't feel like they're working on solving it. Like we're doing the work now. When we're like 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s as we get older. But I think this work should start a lot younger to prepare, just to prepare us so that we have the right tools. So
I completely agree. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Kindle. So I'm going to check in real quick with our community. Ladies, if you're there, feel free to say hi. And I know a lot of ladies too tend to watch after, so feel free to share a question for us. We'll share Kindle's link. I'm wondering if there's any other questions that we should cover. We talked about your event.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask one more question about the Work Bigger program, because I know you were like excited about it, which makes me so happy, obviously, because that's the goal. It's the program is about you and your experience. So one thing that I hear all the time from women who are thinking of applying is two things come up. There's a time constraint. So there's a fear around like, oh my God, this is going to be so much work. I don't want to do this. I'm not going to be able to get it done. And then there's the money constraint. Like the women in our community or a group or whoever is exploring Work Bigger, it's an investment. So that comes up as well. So can you talk about, from your perspective, the time and the money constraint, and like, I guess, what would you say to women who are thinking about it, but they're not sure if it's going to work time-wise, or they're not sure, like, if they want to make the investment, and, all of that stuff that totally comes up when you're considering this type of work?
Yeah. Well, I think it speaks a little bit to kind of what I was saying before. It's like, if you're feeling that sense of, I'm looking for something, and I really was, like, I was getting all the newsletters about virtual programs and join this course and take this and take that. And I was evaluating every one of them. And, nothing really seemed quite right. And then when Work Bigger came up, it was everything I was looking for. It was self-driven. It was community. It was constant contact with each other, with coaches. And that was so important to me. The ability to really share how everyone was feeling and what the work was bringing up for them, it really is, just as important, I think, as the work you do yourself, because you are going to feel alone and scared because these things come up and you've never thought about them.
Mm-hmm.
And just the moment of we have built-in calls constantly in the program. And there were so many times when we were all like, oh my gosh, and then this happened. And you have the chance to support each other. And also just share, like, did anybody else have this kind of crazy feeling? And I really loved the community aspect. So I think, you will know, I don't mean to sound salesy, but like, you will know if this program is right for you, but you will, the time, you do need to be dedicated to it. But if you're already looking to dedicate yourself to a program, this one has the personal connection. This one has a coach helping you through the work, which is also something I've never experienced. This is live. It's happening in real time. It's not a recorded thing that you get later on that you're like doing on your own time. You're able to connect every week as the work comes in. And I think some other programs, like maybe you're working with someone in a different state and it's just like pre-recorded the emails they send you. It's not the same. It's not the same value. So I was at a point when I was just like, I really need something that connects. And this just hit so hard for me. And I was really in a place of ready to do the work for myself. So I think, it might not be the right time right now. Maybe you do have a lot of commitments, but maybe it's worth examining whether those commitments are really supporting you in the way that you want to support yourself going forward. I think Work Bigger can really change your mindset and change the way that you have activities and things in your life. So maybe you will find the time because now you realize it's not so important for you to do this activity because it's for someone else. It's not for you.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. One thing I want to call out, I know we're coming up on our time, is, yeah, it's what you said. You're like, I don't want to sell you the program. And I agree. Like, if the program feels right for you, if you're feeling called to do the work, then this is what it's here for. The community is here for so many reasons. You know, we're here to support you. Whether you do the program or not doesn't matter. Like, we're here as a safe space for women to come together to make networking so much more easier, because it is like freaking awkward going out there and putting yourself out there. So thank you, Kindel, just for sharing that. It is, yeah, if you are feeling that this is the time for you, you're feeling called to it, you want to make that shift, and you know, you're ready, that's what we're here for. So I really appreciate you, Kindel, just sharing your experience and talking about your mission. And I especially wanted the community members to get to know you a little bit better, because I see you putting your work out there. I see you pushing through that resistance. And to me, that's super inspiring. And it's really, it's like, it's why we're here. So, you know, I love seeing it. It makes my day. I'm like, oh my God, I could talk about it all day.
Yeah, that's not something I would have been ready to do at all without the program. So it's really, really close to my heart. It really, I have changed so much because of it. So yeah, I am a big flag waver, because it really gave me a lot of self-respect that I was missing. So
thank you. Thank you so much. I'll let you get back to work. And I'm like, I'm like, oh my God, my hair's so frizzy today. We have this like very weird weather. But thank you for anyone who is live. Feel free to, you know, just follow up with any questions that you have for me or Kindel. Kindel, if I don't get to it right away, please definitely share your event link so that the New York City ladies can attend. And then, yeah, we'll be in touch with everyone. But we're here if you have any questions for me or for Kindel.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye.